I want to ask you guys a question.
It's Brett's show. And he
It
can
is,
do
and
whatever he wants, he thinks.
Brett is the boss.
Have either of you ever lied on your resume
Yeah.
to get a job?
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you lie about?
I can't discuss it here.
Oh my gosh. Never.
She was better off just saying no, ladies and gentlemen.
You mean lying to you? No, I've never lied on a resume.
Okay. I asked this question
No,
because
I think that I've never lied. I do think that I have like all gone out of my way to frame things in the most positive light, but they've never been a lie.
there's always that meme. It's like I was a food dispenser technician at so and so, and it's like a fast food restaurant. It's like I was a food dispensement technician for a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they're like a drive-through worker at McDonald's.
Yeah. I just think I tried really hard to like have a lot of different experiences so I could like pad my resume.
Yes.
But I never had to lie.
Okay, so now what I do want to point out is that this article is about alleged their allegations. None of this is proven, but this was absolutely fascinating to me. It says Grey's Anatomy writer goes on
Wait.
leave.
Did you lie on a resume?
I don't think I have the creativity to lie on a resume.
No, like
It's amazing.
how I did it, I stretched the truth a little bit. It's technically not lying, but I stretched
You don't
it.
feel confident about that.
Yeah.
like it's like I was like the best employee. I'll just say I was a manager. I could see somebody doing that. Like
I was like the most unproductive employee, but it turns out there's only one employee.
Yeah. So it says, so Grey's Anatomy writer goes on leave after reports allege she made up ailments for gig. The writer has been on the show since 2014. It says, to say that Grey's Anatomy has carved out a place for itself within television history would be an understatement. One of the biggest reasons for this is that series creator Shonda Rhimes, she's the one who created Scandal, if anybody doesn't know, and How to Get Away with Murder. And her team have been so successful is that they've delivered stories that contain a significant amount of authenticity. This is partly achieved by hiring writers who have actually lived through some of the experiences Meredith Grey and her colleagues experienced each week. A writer for the show, however, is now taking a leave of absence after a recent report alleges she made up medical ailments during her time on the job. So I imagine somebody goes in for a job interview and she's got this long resume. I wrote this movie. I wrote this television show. I got an Emmy, a daytime Emmy nomination for this. And they're like, but have you been sick? Have you been...
She's like, let me tell you how sick I've been.
Exactly. So it says, Elizabeth Finch is the staff writer who's been placed on administrative leave due to an ongoing investigation. The Ankler was the first to report the Disney Television Studios is looking into claims that Finch fabricated aspects of her life while talking with the writer's room. The TV Scribe's lawyer recently released a statement to People on the matter. Miss Finch is not going to discuss her private health matters. Likewise, she will not speak about her pending divorce from her estranged wife, Jennifer Bayer.
Do we think
Bayer.
they're mentioning that because that's who like told the studio?
Ooh, I don't know. Or comment on, and she has nothing to say about this person. Yeah, so it says, or comments on any statements that Miss Bayer may have made to a third party. So this could be just the product of a messy divorce, or it could be this person's way of using a truthful statement to frame her. Everyone knows divorces, as we know between Kim and Kanye, divorces get nasty. It says, according to reports, Elizabeth Finch, who's written for shows like True Blood, claimed that she suffers from a rare form of bone cancer and that she lost part of her kidney and leg. She also allegedly recalled how she had experienced verbal and sexual abuse at the hands of a male director while she was working on the CW's The Vampire Diaries. Amid the investigation, Shonda Land issued a brief statement to the trade. Only Elizabeth can speak to her personal story.
You speak your truth, woman. That's what the article said.
This is one of the most dangerous aspects of terms like my truth. What I kind of find the HIPAA aspect of this fascinating. Like, how do they prove this anyways if medical records are private? Does the show have the right to subpoena medical records if it has to do with fraud?
Right. Or like if she's like, comes out like later, she's like, well, I told you I had this form of cancer.
But it was somebody close to me.
But it's actually my sister, but I didn't want to I didn't want to like you violate her privacy.
Which would be a fantastic way of framing it if it was her. She's like,
But then, like, theoretically, if the ex-wife is in the picture and she's like, I met your sister and she's fine. Like, but then at that point, are you supposed to be listening to her anyway?
there's a skit where just every time this lady tries to get her job,
Her, like, ex-wife
Bear
pops
just
up.
pops up. It's just, she's
Wrong.
lying.
But also, like, there are patterns in some relationships as they fall apart where, like, they go after your job, right?
Yeah.
So there is a level of, like, should you be listening to this person anyways?
Yep. So I what I was fascinated by on the comments in the Deadline article, it says, yes, I feel, it says, does anybody else know, new loved Finchy feel like they need a group therapy session? I keep crying, grief and rage on a loop. There was a lot of comments like, so she relied on her resume. So what? Like, these are big claims to make. And I
Yeah.
feel like they do a disservice to people who have actually gone through. Like, imagine being a cancer patient and you find out that somebody who didn't go through the horrors you went through uses your trauma to advance their career.
Well, and also, like, if Shonda Rhimes hired this girl because she, like, told her in a really emotional way about her health experiences and
Yeah.
struggles, like, does that make it feel more like fraud because you wouldn't have hired them if you didn't feel like you connected with them on an emotional level?
Yeah.
Like, it's not so much that she hasn't been sick, but it's that she manipulated people. Again, it's some ways I understand the, like, so what she lied on her resume. It's like, well, it feels more than like lying on your resume.
It does. To me, there's a large part of me sees a lot of cynicism in this. There's a lot of cynicism in the, like, what we've done is essentially turn victimhood into currency, and I see this as a cynical way of using something that they can't legally prove she didn't go through, and I feel like it's dehumanizing to people who have actually gone through these things. And I feel like this is Hollywood's done this to themselves by encouraging this behavior.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, if anything, I see, I blame this woman less than I blame the environment they've created that makes behavior like this feel necessary.
Well, what I was gonna say is, like, did she feel like this was necessary? And the other part is, like, so I looked up her IMDb. She's gotten, like, writing credits, but she's also gotten producer credits. Like, are her episodes popular? Because maybe her ability to convince everyone that she had these medical experiences is a testament to, like,
But then we find out later that she didn't go through it, and she's just a really good writer.
she's really good, right? Like, she's extremely convincing. And, like, what if her episodes are all extremely popular? Like, I'm not saying she's an ethical person,
Yep.
but whatever, like, I don't know if it's creativity or deception or manipulation, whatever, like, made it possible for her to get into this writing room ultimately benefited her career and the show. Like, is that also a bad thing?
And then she rose to the occasion.
Not saying it's honest or ethical, but
Yeah.
did the show profit from her deception in a positive way?
She also, remember, they slipped in she also allegedly recalled how she experienced sexual and verbal and sexual abuse at the hands of a male director while working in the CW's Vampire Diaries. Notice that no director has been named and that person is still working in the industry, if that's true. That's a problem. Amid the investigation, so it says down here, it says the television writer joined Grey's Anatomy in 2014 and has since written some of the show's most acclaimed installments.
Oh, interesting.
So one of her most notable credits is the 2015 episode "Silent All These Years." What if like she was really good at writing stuff that she didn't go through, but all the episodes that are about stuff she did go through just never hit the mark?
Right. Well, I actually think that can be the case, like, if you're too close to something.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you have, I'm going to use the term vivid imagination, but obviously it seems more cynical than that.
Yeah.
Like, if you are very good at deception, or if you have if your mind works in a way that you are, like, really creating elaborate, vivid lies, like, maybe that does aid her writing career.
So it says one of the most notable credits is the 2015 episode "Silent All These Years," which many regard as one of the best Grey's episodes thus far. In it, Jo Wilson met her birth mother and ultimately learned that she was conceived from a rape. The episode garnered praise from viewers, and it was later discovered that Shonda Rhimes had to fight to keep key aspects of the story intact. In addition to her work as a writer on the story, the No Ordinary Family alum also appeared on camera as a nurse during the episode. When I initially saw this article, I thought they were going to talk about, like, where I thought it was like maybe she told everyone she was a nurse, and then, like, they have her on as, like, a nurse in the show, and, like, turns out she was never actually a nurse. But it was
Well, do you know how in Friends, Gunther, the like blonde
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
like he gets to be the barista at that cafe because he was the only one who knew how to operate the espresso machine.
Yep.
Like if she had been like, no, I am a nurse. They're like, cool, because we need you to actually perform this medical procedure live. We need to, like,
She's
start-
like, I'm a
she's like-
psychologist.
She's
actually.
like, I have made a mistake, but I cannot back out now.
Yes.
But I think this is way more interesting. Mostly, I'm glad that I called it on the like, what if
Yeah.
her episodes are popular?
She's good at it because it apparently could be true that she actually went through it.
Well, and like then, if it was mutually beneficial, like if her episodes perform really well, like does it matter that she lied?
Mhm.
And that's where I come down to like, do the people involved in her hiring feel like she kind of defrauded them or like manipulated them?
Like,
But again, if the object is to make successful episodes, and she did that, I don't know.
it is interesting
It's
because
a crazy gray area.
it's like if they lied about some accomplishment, would you be just as mad? Like, what if she says, "I won the 2015 Writers Award for this," and you find out later that even though
didn't.
she wrote good awards or wrote good episodes, she didn't actually win that award. So she got there without, what's I guess stolen valor would be the term
Sure.
in military circles.
Yeah.
But is this any different than someone doing that? I see a lot of differences there, but
Like this feels wrong to me, but just because someone has gone through a medical or traumatic experience doesn't actually make them capable or
Yeah.
like more qualified or more talented at writing that. And it
Yes.
is interesting that her episodes are considered acclaimed. Like
yeah.
she has been successful for the show. If she hadn't lied about it, her episodes might have still gone on to be
Yep.
noteworthy.
Yep. So it does. What I do find very interesting is it said in the first article, in the main article, that the writers, the writers' room wanted people that had gone through hard medical procedure. So what was the word? It says her team has been so successful that they've delivered stories that contain a significant amount of authenticity. This is partly achieved by hiring writers who have actually lived through some of the experiences Meredith Grey and her colleagues have
But it
experienced.
turns out it's not. Like
So-
they don't actually need to have experienced it.
So, like, does that incentivize very, very enterprising young writers to fib ever so slightly about something as personal and as important as your medical history, especially in an age where you apparently don't have a private, you're not allowed to have private medical history anyways.
Ignore
Screen
me.
go out?
No.
You good? Okay.
I can't use technology.
Okay. So, like, in an age where we were having vaccine passports and you're told that your medical history is no longer private, is this an argument for her to make in this day and age when she's being called out by her ex-wife or her estranged wife?
Well, wouldn't it be cooler now she has like more clicks because people are like, wow, she's really good at her job.
Now they go in specifically to watch those episodes.
Yep.
Yep.
And she's like, she starts getting all this work. Can you write for us about how to write Can you write me a movie about a writer who knows how to write without knowing what they're writing about?
Well, wasn't it like Emily Dickinson who was like one of the like she would write all these stories about travel and romance and all these things, and she was like essentially a recluse. Like she lived on her own and was like, as far as we could tell, in never in any kind of serious romantic relationship. Like it's just sort of interesting. Like it doesn't actually experience doesn't actually always translate to ability to generate art. You know what
Correct
I mean?
me if I'm wrong, but plenty of men write women's romance novels under pen names because they feel like they won't sell well if it shows that it's been written by a guy.
Yeah, which is like, it's interesting. I understand why the writing room at Grey's Anatomy would be like, we want people who have gone through serious medical issues, because it's the same way that you might bring on a doctor or a hospital administrator as a consultant, because
Yes.
those are aspects and you want to get them right. But like,
But that's like the hard science stuff that you need to
But they
consult.
still
Yeah.
get it wrong either way.
yeah, but also like, it turns out that she doesn't, like, her having gone through these things, it's not like she was a poor performing writer who then got caught lying and it's like, oh yeah, that's why you were bad. you didn't have any experience. Like
It's
it didn't seem relevant in this case.
It's the weird Hollywood obsession where they keep telling you that you can't write about something, you can't understand it unless you've actually, like, you can't write about a character that looks like this unless you look exactly like that character.
yeah.
Even though you're writing a fantasy about somebody who's not you, who, despite having maybe superficial, immutable characteristics that resemble you, that does not mean that you can't write about something that you didn't experience, because that's the power of imagination.
Right.
They feel that they believe, at least in their mind, that means that would be more authentic theoretically. But a writer, a less talented writer, who happened to experience something similar, isn't necessarily going to write something better, and likely won't write something better than a really gifted, hardworking writer with a strong imagination and work ethic to do the research and in really envelop themselves in that character. I don't think the superficial characteristics matter as much, and the same could be true here. Maybe she didn't go through this, but she still wrote fantastic episodes. I still think that what she did was kind of creepy, if that's what happened. We don't, again, these are all allegations. We don't know if this is actually what happened.
Yeah, and lying is wrong.
Yes, lying is
I don't
wrong.
want to let this off too easily. Like, it's obviously immoral to lie.
Yes.
It's just that is the studio mad because they got
Duped?
caught they were called out for being dumb for not catching it, or like what?
I think my guess is that they said the ex-wife brought this to their attention. Now they have to.
And again,
Can you really take her?
Well, what I was gonna say is but is this writer gonna get fired? Because it turns out she's sort of. It seems like she has pulled her weight in the writing room.
Yep. So we will see. I mean, people get fired for a lot less in these industries.
Yeah,
so.
I don't have I could see getting fired for this, but notably, it doesn't seem like it's actually affected her performance.
So we will see.
Yeah.
We will see down the line. Was it as fascinating to you as it was to me? I found that to be a ridiculously interesting thing.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. I'm all about it.
Miracle, am I crazy?
No, there's cases where people lie about what they studied for. Like this one kid, I think he's a few years older than me, but he said, yeah, I went to school and they hired him as a pharmacist at Rite Aid. And he's been giving prescriptions to people nonstop, and he was the #1 employee, but he never had a degree. They never did a background check on him.
You don't need a degree to
Yeah, you do.
You have to get an advanced degree to be a pharmacist.
no, I mean,
you can
work in a pharmacy, but you
with
can't
some
dispense.
medical training.
But you
I
can't
don't remember,
dispense.
but you can't dispense. So that one seems harder to me.
No, but for him, they said, do you have a medical degree? Because he's the one that...
Because there's pharmacy school.
Yeah, because they wanted to know if a patient... Because Rite Aid is also a pharmacy too. You can talk to somebody and they can advise you what medication to take. So they asked him, can you do that? And he's like, sure. And they hired him, and he's been doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's on Rite Aid.
See, that feels worse. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a writer, but it feels worse to lie in that scenario than to be I have it's not correct to lie about your medical history, especially to gain a job. That seems manipulative. Lying about being able to give medical advice when you have no training feels like you're gambling with a lot of people's lives.
Did you ever
no one's gonna die if this girl hasn't had cancer and then writes on the show.
Did you see the story from Lad Bible a couple of weeks ago about the guy who got his first ticket at the age of he'd never had a driver's license. He's 80 years old, and he finally got caught not without a license, and he's been driving since he was 14. I feel like that's
so funny. I'd never heard that.
Yeah, guy'd been driving his whole life, and then finally, he didn't even get in trouble. Some act of God, if I remember correctly, hit his windshield, and he had to pull over, and they find out that the guy,
Wow.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.